Just imagine, for a second, an army of engineers literally slicing through 19.3 kilometers of desert to connect two massive seas. The Suez Canal, it isn't just a waterway, it's an absolute engineering marvel that redrew the map of global trade. And its story is way more fascinating than you might think.
So before 1869, if you were a ship captain traveling from Asia to Europe, you had a really long, really dangerous journey all the way around Africa. The Suez Canal came along and just slashed that trip by nearly 10,000 kilometers. We're talking weeks of travel and a ton of money saved. It was an instant game changer.
But, actually creating this shortcut, that was an audacious, almost impossible dream. The goal was to build a river where there was nothing but sand and rock.
I mean, the sheer variety of challenges they faced was just staggering. For 10 years, workers battled everything from the soft, collapsing mud of Lake Manzala to literally digging through massive sandhills at El Giz. And then, just when they thought they were getting close to the end, boom, they hit solid rock at Chalaf. It was a problem a senior engineer had actually predicted, but nobody listened. It was just this relentless, decade-long fight against nature.
It's really easy to picture this, right? You imagine workers digging a long, dry trench for years, and then there's this big, dramatic moment where they flood it all at once. But that's not how it happened at all. For most of the construction, the dredgers were actually floating in the canal, scooping out earth from inside the water. This wet excavation method was way more efficient.
And so this monumental construction project transformed into the absolute lifeblood of the global economy. Just let that sink in for a second. More than a tenth of everything the world buys, sells, and ships passes through this one single narrow channel. That is an incredible concentration of global commerce right there.
And the value of all that commerce is just staggering. Over $1 trillion every single year. It's like a massive conveyor belt for energy, for commodities, for all the consumer goods that connect Asia, the Middle East, and Europe.
So what's actually on this conveyor belt? Well, a bit of everything, really. Nearly a third of all the world's container traffic. The stuff we buy every day. A really crucial portion of the world's oil and natural gas, and just huge amounts of bulk cargo, like metals and coal. The global economy literally floats right through here.
But connecting two seas that had been separate for millennia, well, it had an unintended consequence. The canal opened a door, but it wasn't just for ships. It actually triggered a massive, unseen invasion.
Scientists actually have a name for it, the Lessepian migration. It's named after Ferdinand de Lesseps, the guy who developed the canal, and it's basically the process of marine life from the Red Sea and the Indo-Pacific swimming right on through the canal and setting up shop in the Mediterranean.
And the scale of this is just mind-boggling. Over 700 alien species have made the journey. It's like we're watching hundreds of thousands of years of evolution play out in fast forward in less than 2 centuries. It's this hidden invasion taking place right under the waves. And a lot of these newcomers are not friendly neighbors. We're talking about swarms of nomad jellyfish so vast they can stretch 100 kilometers, clogging up fishing nets and shutting down beaches. There's the silver-cheeked toadfish, which is more toxic than cyanide, and 2 species of rabbitfish that just devour seaweed forests like locusts, turning these lush, vital habitats into bare rock. This warning from marine biologist Bella Galil, it really drives home just how severe this crisis could become. It's not just some abstract ecological issue. It could fundamentally change how we as people interact with the sea itself.
So the canal isn't just ecologically sensitive, it's also incredibly economically fragile. That slow-motion ecological crisis was suddenly joined by a very fast, very dramatic economic one that showed the whole world just how vulnerable this choke point really is.
Oh yeah, of course, we all remember this. The Ever Given, a container ship that's literally longer than the Eiffel Tower is tall, got wedged completely sideways. And for 6 days, that vital artery of global trade was completely and totally clogged.
The financial hemorrhage was immediate, and it was immense. Every single hour the canal was blocked, it was costing the global economy an estimated $400 million in delayed trade. It was more than just a price tag, though. It was a brutal lesson in just how fragile our just-in-time global supply chains really are.
To really get why this one blockage was such a massive deal, look at this. The Suez Canal carries 4 times the cargo tonnage of the Panama Canal. When Suez closes, there is no easy alternative. There's no quick plan B.
And that's exactly why the Ever Given blockage created such a huge global shockwave.
So after 150 years of shaping global trade and ecosystems, what's next for the canal? Well, it's now trying to reinvent itself for a whole new era, a green era.
The heart of this new vision is something called the Suez Canal Economic Zone, or SC Zone. It's this massive 455 square kilometer hub of ports and industrial areas, all designed to transform the canal from just a simple passageway into a global center for green energy and sustainable shipping.
The official plan is called Green Canal 2030, and the goal here is pretty ambitious, not only to decarbonize the canal's own operations, but to become a key supply and refueling hub for the alternative fuels that are going to power the future of shipping, things like green hydrogen and ammonia.
And this isn't just a local dream. It's backed by some of the biggest global players in shipping, energy, and technology from all across Europe. They're investing heavily because they see the Suez Canal as a critical piece of the puzzle for decarbonizing the entire shipping industry.
So, over 150 years ago, this canal changed the world by creating a shortcut for trade. Today, it faces this dual challenge, trying to mitigate its ecological damage while managing its economic vulnerability. The big question now is whether it can transform itself one more time, becoming a vital corridor not just for goods, but for a sustainable green future.